So like when you first started, was it constantly making stuff better for years and years and years, or did you get it set like you liked it and then left it pretty much?
It was, when we started, we went shopping for parts in a junkyard, you know.
Yeah.
Now everything is aftermarket, high dollar,
Yep.
high performance stuff.
Mhm.
And when the stock junkyard stuff started to fail, you had no choice but to upgrade it to something heavier out of the junkyard, or buy custom built transmission, transfer cases, rear ends and stuff like that. And the engine performance, I had to keep up with that to be competitive with everybody.
Did you go with like a Rodak or anything like that, or would?
No, so I always had a big black Chevy.
Really?
The latest engine's a Merlin block, and it's got Pontiac Big Chief aluminum heads on it. Well, it's 632.
Oh, you got a 632 in it.
632, yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And Enderley fuel injection, and that was all new. And our original 482 motor, we ran a Hilleburn injection, which was individual, 8 tubes, like the sprint car guys run, And we were probably the only one that had that setup on, but it worked.
Well, that brings up wins. How many wins, or what did you get?
Well, to go along with that, we went with the same promoter out to Arizona, and invited, you had like 8 of us out of Wisconsin, Illinois, go four-wheel drive, mod four-wheel drives to go with them. Started in Tucson, Arizona. First weekend, it was like Saturday, Sunday show. We had 2 classes at each. There were 2 hooks, on each show. Mm-hmm. Yuma on a Wednesday night, 1 show, 2 hooks, and Phoenix the following weekend, another 2 shows, 4 hooks. So we had a total of 11 hooks. I won 10 of them and finished second in the pull-off in one of them.
Nice. And I hear you got some trophies and all that kind of stuff for to see too, maybe?
Yeah, and we made some money doing it.
You did?
Yeah.
It's kind of rare, right?
I think that time was over $5,000 for the week.
Okay. Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So.
And the Florida deal paid us like $1,400 or whatever, to $1,200 or $1,400. So we had a GMC mini motorhome, Class C motorhome at that time, open trailer, and towed with that. So we were living in the motorhome. Mm-hmm. And
you had a bus too, didn't you?
No,
that's all the pictures of other guys.
I was gonna build a bus, but we built up this 24-foot GMC Class C motorhome. Mm-hmm. Reinforced the whole back frame and stuff to put a big hitch on the back of it to be able to tow the trailer and the truck.
Was you a flatbed trailer?
Yeah. The trailer I bought from Tom Lashmitt. I actually built the trailer in Illinois. Okay. Had drive-over fenders, diamond plate, and then the front wheels dropped. It was specially built to haul a four-wheel drive, modified truck trailer.
Did you always use open trailer the whole time?
At that time, yeah, until the last truck now, and then we built a semi 48-foot Kentucky furniture trailer, and used one of our semi tractors originally, and then bought a used 1990 white GMC Volvo tractor. It was a sleeper cab tractor, and then we took the bunk out of the back of it and put 2 more truck seats in it, so you could ride 4 people.
You having a fit over there, huh? Like
it was like Mom and Pop Kettle when we went. It's like wet cleaning, some pots and pans on the side.
There's some pictures in here of our hauler and stuff. And we took it to Florida, we took it to Arizona, and
that's what I was going to ask. Like different states. How many states did you want all over the country?
Well, at SRO indoor shows, furthest I guess we went was Dallas, Texas.
Mm-hmm. To California at all?
no California, New York, and
There are a lot of East Coast, right?
Canada,
yeah,
Canada?
Canada,
Minnesota,
Minnesota.
Different state every
the
weekend.
Midwest. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much so. Once they knew we were competitive, it was hard for them to try to get in. I think the first show we got in was at Rosemount Horizon, Illinois, and we did well down there. And so then after that, Ken Donay was kind of in charge of getting the trucks for the SRO shows, and they'd call and offer you some guarantee toll money, basically, against what you could win, because they knew we could hopefully compete in the top 3 or 5, out of 10, 12 trucks that they had in the class. So it was fun doing that. And
What did you do for like a crew?
it was after my beginning. It was just Sandy and Jared, our son, and I, and because he was young to do anything basically too. So I did most of the grunt work myself on the truck. I remember probably one of the hardest deals with our original truck, the 71 GMC, we pulled at Illinois State Fair. It was Tri-State Truck Pullers sanctioned deal. And it had to be 110 degrees that day down there. And our original truck had, instead of the suitcase tractor weights hanging on a weight rack on the front of it, a friend of mine was worked for a company that installed commercial elevators, and they had a lot of scrap or surplus iron stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they had these 110-pound elevator weights that were like 4 feet long,
They're huge.
6-8 inches wide or better, with 2 big holes punched in them. I had 2 long threaded rods or whatever welded on the upright on the front to lift these 110-pound elevator weights on to load on the front of the truck. Well, after you try to lift, like 10 of them on the front of the truck, I had to take a break every 2 or 3 and have a bottle of water or whatever because it was so hot out.
And 110 degree.
Yeah.
Oof. So really, it was just you 3 then?
Yeah,
Really
to
doing
start
it?
with.
Dome.
Until my son started driving, then he had 2 good friends of his age, go along with us. That's when we were into the semi and Kentucky 48-foot trailer, an enclosed trailer. But then he had 2 good friends of his would help. Actually 3,
Okay.
and
Would they travel with you then
yeah,
for the whole weekend?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, did you get to meet famous? Was that like a county fair or something?
Yeah.
State fair thing, yeah.
State fair?
I think it was a
So you
state.
got to meet like people doing that too?
Yeah.
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 Johnny Cash got stuck. They had a not Johnny Cash. They were at a Johnny Cash concert, and there was a young man in a wheelchair, and it had rained. It just poured.
That was up at De Pere or Green Bay, yeah. That was a show that Schwader had put on. And it was Johnny Cash, wasn't it? Because you got a signed, Donay got me a signed big picture. That wasn't,
Of Johnny Cash?
I wasn't alone.
no, that one Conway Twitty.
Oh.
That signed picture of Conway Twitty. Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom,
Oh boy. So what do you mostly do now?
I enjoy watching sprint car racing.
Okay.
I used to enjoy watching a NASCAR racing, but not so much anymore. We got a 5th wheel RV that we tried last summer. We didn't use it at all because I wound up having surgery on my right leg in July. I had blood clot.
Oh, boy.
They put 2 stents in my right leg, and so I wasn't able to do any lifting and walking with a cane. You can't do much, you know.
Yeah.
And then I wound up thought I was having a heart attack in November, and they put 2 stents in close to my heart, and then I had to go back in January this year and have another stent put in my right leg.
Wow.
So
Well,
thank the
you're
Lord
okay,
I'm
huh?
still alive, 80 years old, but
You still have the trucking business?
no, I actually retired out of that or sold the last truck 6 years ago.
Okay.
And now summertime, I spend 3 days a week cutting grass on 72-inch John Deere front mount mower.
Nice.
Got about 12 acres between the properties that we own,
Oh, wow.
and so I enjoy doing that, I guess. But
Do you still attend any of the pools?
just a couple of local ones here that are, haven't been to Toma for years now. I kind of miss going there.
Yeah.
And especially when we pulled there and had our our Kentucky trailer, we got living quarters built in the front of that, you know, the shower and toilet and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Does it shake you to death when you're going down the track? What's it like to drive?
Not that bad, not really. You think you know, if you had a problem and something broke and it stopped fast and the sled rear-ended you, yeah, you'd get your attention pretty quick, you know.
It'd be fun to have like the wife's perspective on all this, you know?
Well, the one that I remember the most
Make sure I
was
get
the
you in
last
shot
one
here.
that we did, and it was the Washington County Fair.
Here, let's pull it up. How am I
And
pull up
this
the chair?
guy comes
Right
in,
next to him. There you go.
my mistake, because I was signing them in. Never did I think there would be more than 25 stock trucks. Or was it modified?
You signed them all in?
It was Super Stock, I think he ran. Yeah,
Superstar, whatever the
yeah,
class.
she did all the registering.
And Sue
finding
Hunter,
everything, you know.
Sue Hunter, and I bet Sue Hunter passed away now. But anyway, this guy comes in, it's volunteer women at the back gate, you know, we're not, no one is paid help.
Right.
And, he was using a naughty word, a very naughty word. And, the young lady came to where I was crying. She said this guy came in and he was just using profanity and last one in. Well, I didn't see who he was, you know. She just said he had reddish hair and this red and white truck. I walked that whole fairgrounds looking for him because if I would have found him, he would have been put in a porta pot. I think I could have found 1 or 2 guys to help me lift it, and that would have been tipped right over with him in it.
Oh boy.
I was mad. Big Mama. They call me Big Mama. That's the maddest I've ever been. They put me in PI, Sue and I, but we have no authority. Because I would have just right then and there, you're not pulling. That's not allowed in PI. You know that. You don't do that. And I always got to get someone with more authority than I have. And then he said to her, well, what are you going to do about it or something? That means I couldn't find him. I didn't know what he looked like, what his truck looked like. That was the worst one.
So what was it like? Did you like the traveling and all that?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Because it's every weekend, right?
Yeah, every weekend and during the week sometimes. But when we started PI, it was always the same group of people. And, you know, the same, very small, and we all became friends. So we just looked forward to seeing each other. And if you didn't have something somebody else did, you know, and you shared and you...
Well, that's good, like, when you look back, that it was, like, good memories, right?
Oh, they're all good memories.
Yeah.
Bad memories. I mean, you never want someone to get hurt or nothing like that. But the pranks, there was always pranks. There was pranks all the time. We painted somebody's toenails at a banquet. That was at the Don
boy.
Cesar. After we drank them out of all whiskey and booze they owned. That was,
at SRO's convention.
yeah.
Yep. They threw a good convention. Roger Simon and I were good friends.
Were you?
We
Okay.
pulled together when he started with, now they got his original body. I don't know if it's probably a different chassis underneath it, but they resurrected, got that back out again. Simon Says
The Dakota?
blue Chevy. No, it's a
Oh, the blue, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
square body.
The square body. It
Yeah.
was just up in Milwaukee at the World of Wheels.
Yeah.
Sitting
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
So,
What
But
happened?
Roger and his wife Darlene were nicest, easy to get along with people. You know, I enjoyed pulling with them all the time, and
it's hard to beat though, right?
well,
He was at the top all the time.
Yeah.
Simon still is too with
Yeah.
the rest of their stuff. So,
and the other one was with Showtime truck. Worked for Roger,
yeah.
did all the engine work at that time.
Steve Olson.
Steve Olson, yeah.
He seems like a really nice guy.
He was very nice, yeah. Good friend of mine that we were high school friends with, Al Dickman. He and his son helped myself and my son build it, and they were over almost every night, and we built that in our garage by our house that we were living in instead of in the truck shop, where I had to keep track of my drivers and look at why I'm doing this and why I'm doing that. If it wasn't for Al Dickman, my buddy that helped me build our third truck, and then he continued on, and him and his son built their own truck, and Double Trouble was called, and ran, and unfortunately he passed away, but I owe a lot to him keep pushing me to, let's finish building this truck, get this, our truck done, to begin with. And
Those good friends that spur you on too.
Yeah.
so that was a big help, or else there were times I felt I'd rather sit down and watch TV at night instead of work out in the shop till midnight and then get up again at 5 o'clock in the morning and go trucking again the next day,
I think some advice that the young ones need is to listen to the old guys.
Yeah.
Listen to a mentor. And
Get a mentor.
get a mentor. You don't have all the answers. And
You need somebody who's gone through life, who's been married, who has, been through struggles
yep.
that can help you through.
I don't
No, I guess I don't regret any of our pulling
No
experience.
regrets. No.
No.
It's good.
We did well. We basically paid expenses doing what we did. We were fortunate enough to be able to do that. And never forget when Lee Farrell, Big Iron, raised the body up, he forgot to unhook his shoulder harness or his seatbelt, and it about strangled him. He come off of the seat, it couldn't stretch any farther, so Brenda could hop out of the truck because she was kneeling down inside the truck.
Oh, gosh.
And yeah.
Oh man. That's not good.
No.
Grief. Did you ever get? That's one question I had. It's not on here. Did you ever get injured doing this?
With pulling?
Yeah.
No.
No. Pretty safe sport, right?
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
There's a lot of safety, but
Yeah.
stuff can go wrong.
Yeah.
I think
It's not like
fires,
going 200 miles an hour
probably
all
the
day,
biggest
so.
concern, but not so much in the trucks as it seems to be in the mini rods or the.
Oof. Did you pull minis?
No.
No.
We call them crotch rockets.
Yeah.
Would you want to?
No.
Did you?
No.
He's the one that Sid, you gotta know Sid. Well, they drove the puller down the highway. Where were they? Because they ran out of gas with the...
No, they're coming back out of Minnesota. He had a converted bus
Yeah.
to haul his truck in, and his brother Lonnie had a truck, so that was on a trailer behind it, and they broke a U-joint on the drive line on the bus, towing it on the interstate. So they unloaded Lonnie's truck off the trailer. He matched the weight bar up to the back of the trailer and pushed the bus and the trailer with Sid's truck in on the back of the bus
The four-wheel.
down the interstate. This is at night. And they're
You gotta meet Sid.
looking for the first truck stop or off ramp where they can find, you know. So they've seen lights up on the one off ramp. They pulled in there, and it was just a restaurant. It wasn't a truck stop deal. So they circled around the parking lot, and by that time everybody's up out of the restaurant, you know, open headers on this pulling truck,
geez.
pushing this whole
How far could
operation
you do that?
back on the interstate and back down the road looking for the next truck stop. He was looking for a truck stop that had a welder, so he could weld the shaft or
Yes.
the U-joint back together, the joint broke. That was him. Here's
Years ago, pulling was fun.
one picture of it right there at the bottom. I know we got a lot more. It had chop top
I
on the
haven't seen
thing.
that one.
We'll have time to look through it this
Okay.
week.
One of the original trucks he built that didn't have power steering, so he had a big auto car truck steering wheel in the thing, and it didn't clear the roof, so he had a hole cut in the roof where part of the steering wheel stuck out of the top of the roof, so he could steer this thing, otherwise he couldn't turn it.
So what made you build a different truck each time? Just was the one getting old, or
It was just thinking we could improve, I guess, and stay more with. We started out at Five Corners GMC helping us, and for them to advertise whatever, I just thought it'd be better having the current newer sheet metal body style thing, you know.
and then you went different axles and
Yeah,
frame and everything
Right.
each time, right?
right.
This
So this is the third one. On the chassis?
The same chassis, but chassis was repainted and new different sheet metal, different quarter panels, different fenders, and different hood grill.
Did you guys make that body though? Like put it all together and
Yep.
weld it and all that? And
Yeah, we ordered all Five Corners GMC ordered all the body panels, and they all came in cardboard box, just separate, and
that's got to be a job
put
too.
it all together, and yeah,
Good. And then obviously painted after that.
yeah, their body shop painted it.
So this was your first one?
Yep, 1971 GMC. That was Dave Schreier from Toma.
And he's the one that helped with.
No, he's passed away now. He was the head NTPA.
Oh, he
Schreier.
was?
They ran Toma. Yeah.
Okay.
That was our local 4th of July parade,
So
probably.
this is what you started with, huh?
That was a stock pulling truck, yeah. And right there, it's pulling our first modified behind it.
Yeah, it's a good shot of the trailer and the RV.
Yeah.
We'll get that. We'll scan that in. Oh wow, there's an early Bud
Yep.
Blue Ox one. Nice.
Rosemont.
This is what I remember. All along the side.
Yeah.
That was so cool. Little red wagon. Yeah. That one is still around, I think. I have my own pictures of that one. Dan Patrick's lunch.
Silver Dome.
Look at that. How big that is.
Yep. And that's, we were talking about driving in or getting in. That was the entry
Wow.
way underneath it.
April of 83,
people-
77,000. So now is that the second version?
Yes, the 1981
Mm-hmm.
truck that we built.
and that stayed the same for quite a while.
Yep. This is when I sold the 81 to Tim Bell, and then he blew the motor up the first year that I sold it without an engine. He had an engine built, and he blew it up the first year and sold the truck to Ron Lindner. This was our, would have been our 90 vintage that we
The
built.
third one?
Yeah.
Trouble in the Van. Al and Rob Dickman.
Yep.
Motorsports Show, Milwaukee.
Yep.
GMC. Whose van was that?
That's Rock and Grelly's van that we built.
Oh yeah, and there's the headers coming through the windshield.
Yep. And this is Len Hunter's Animal, which was our first pulling truck.
71. This is awesome. You have them all labeled and everything.
Here's, I believe he's got his own new chassis underneath it.
Was Len John's dad or
Yeah.
brother? His dad.
Yep.
Okay. Because we talked to John, and that's a great picture. I definitely want to. So my buddy just bought this truck.
Yeah.
And he wants.
Glander, Stewart.
Well, this the Blue Ox, the original Blue
Oh.
Ox. He has it in Indiana.
Okay.
And he was really looking for good pictures of the back of the chassis because he wants to
Okay.
remake it because it's in such bad shape right now.
Yeah.
You know.
See here it was
Yeah.
stretched for the blower motor.
No, he told me about that. Half an hour to stretch it and put a blower on it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. This was our promoter buddy, Bill Schwader. His hauler and Gambler two-wheel drive.
I don't remember that one.
And
Oh yeah, what was the deal with this one?
Johnny, I believe this is his Johnny Reb Ford. I don't have. The Yankee hauler was a yellow 58 Chevy body. This was our excursion, Arizona.
Oh, there's dudes, both of them.
Yep.
Nice. Okay.
His
a
wife,
good picture.
Pat.
Yeah. Oh wow. It's
Big
an early
Arlie
one.
and Wally.
Wow. Did you see my video on him
Yes.
when he told the story about that?
Yep.
Like painting it overnight.
This was Rolly Pete, Screaming Demon,
Rolly Pete. I haven't even
out
heard
of
that name.
Appleton, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Here he ripped a hitch out of it.
Whoops.
Yep. That's Ed Poitras, Good Vibration.
That one I don't remember either.
Here's Schwader's I'm Riding With Him exhibition two-wheel drive. And back to our 71 again, the original one.
Was this your son then?
Yep,
And probably a buddy?
yep. Our neighbor kid, redhead,
Okay.
Bobby.
So when you look back at all this, can you even believe you did all this?
No. Here, Bud and I are
Oh,
checking
that
out
bud,
the
yeah,
track.
look at that.
Yeah,
Nice.
in our younger days.
Early Orange Crush.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a good one.
Yeah, this was down at, well, no, this was in our yard up here.
Creek or something.
We've got pictures of it. We took in, had a photographer actually take at the covered bridge down the road here, which is only a mile down the road. And here's our hauler again, back of it.
Didn't scan that one.
And the first
To Tim.
first buyer after, yeah.
Did you ever like look for these trucks again?
No, not really. There's some of the
In the van.
van
The
again.
van, they ain't painted. GMC van we built for Rocky
Rocky and Grillies.
and Grillies. Did you build other trucks for people?
That was the only one we built
Oh man, it's a great shit.
besides our own. That was down at the
The covered
covered bridge, the last covered bridge in Wisconsin.
Oh,
There's a big picture of it hanging in the living room.
okay. Bush Stadium, St. Louis. Everybody, a lot of guys talk about that Bush Stadium. That must have been a big deal too.
Yeah.
By the arch.
Rosemount Horizon.
Now there's Psycho and Bud's Coop.
Yep. Yep.
Nice.
I guess what scared me the most at the indoor shows is when they ran monster trucks because they were totally out of control, it seemed like, you know.
Well, we've seen them now, right?
Yeah.
What they're doing now.
Now they're
Good
crazy. We had our motorhome lettered up, our hang loose pulling team, and
Yeah, SRO banquet, Bush Gardens,
Yeah.
Florida. Stephen Val.
Steven,
Josh.
Al, Jasky, there's Len Hunter. This was Rocky and Grelly and his girlfriend and Sandy.
Okay.
And that was Len's wife, Sue, Len Hunter's wife.
You tell that Steve.
Yep. Steve and his wife. Usually when we had a pull at Cedarburg at the fairgrounds here, we'd always throw a party over at the house after it was over with. So these are some of our good pulling friends and helpers that helped with the truck pull and stuff.
Trophies.
That's,
That's cool. Oh, that's your semi then.
yeah. Yep.
Nice.
Jared's buddy, Brian Fector.
Is that the big heads you're talking about?
Yep.
The Pontiac heads?
Yep.
Those are massive. Jeez.
Yep.
What's the compression ratio on that thing?
I don't even know. Larry Pro, Larry Peterson.
Oh, there's a good picture of Wally's trailer.
Suki's here from Minnesota. Totally hooked and totally geared.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
There's Brummel's and Olson's.
Olson has his own truck?
Uh,
Time machine.
not old.
That one I haven't seen.
Yeah. The Orange Crush
Yeah. That's
Oh.
their newer version.
and Ron
Oh,
Brummel.
there's the Blue Magic. Okay.
Yeah. That's the one from,
Mhm.
and there's a stock, one of them. I used to get a new pickup every year or every other year, I should say. This was with Tri-State out in Iowa. One of the Tri-State pullers, we stayed at his body shop thing or whatever in between weekend show someplace, but all is all pulled in there. This is back at 81.
The scorecards are so cool.
81.
Oh, that's a good shot of the door.
We pulled semi-class at Cedar. This was one of
Is
ours.
that one of your trucks?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
And then she dressed him in baby clothes and we the dogs off and we just go there.
Back at the motorsports show.
Do they still do that motorsport show, or is it the World of Wheels?
I think, no, the motorsports show itself was downtown Milwaukee, but no, I didn't have that for several years that I remember.
The home delivery guy.
Yeah.
So he did that for like 20 years, 18 years. And then he finally.
We tried, or had open individual headers on it at one time. That was a earlier version of a different Enderley bird catcher injection on it too.
Wiley told me that the individuals didn't work as good as the
No.
4-to-1.
They're made for blower motor to get rid of the exhaust quicker. Just the hauler,
That's a cool picture of the hauler.
the ramps in the back. That's all for sale.
Okay.
Here's a tractor. That's for sale too.
Oh, you have still the tractor?
Yeah.
Okay. And the trailer?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Combination. 25 grand for both, if anybody's interested.
All right, so just tell me about that one again. So this is a crew cab,
Yeah.
Dragon Wagon Sid Hotras.
Hotras.
Okay. And what did he do?
They wouldn't let them pull at State Fair Park. That SRO had the show. And the first day he showed up with it,
Because it was a
crew
quad
cab,
Yeah.
you know. He said, well, they'll come back tomorrow with a two-door.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. You're going to let me pull? Well, he just laughed. Well, yeah, because it's never going to happen.
Right.
He showed up the next day, cut the frame off and cut the rear doors off and put the back cab back on, make a two-door out of it again.
The next day.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Overnight. They work 24 hours or whatever to do it, but
Oh, man.
NASCAR collection.
Oh, Richard Petty stuff.
Yeah.
He was my favorite.
Really?
I got to meet him and get a picture with him in 4 or 5 years ago. That was cool. Well, him and the Cale Yarborough,
Yeah.
the 28th, that's the top right there. Like Gordon, too. Like Arlo Earnhardt stuff. That's Junior's car that he caught in fire, isn't it? The yellow vet?
That was the one Dale Earnhardt and another guy
They raced it.
24-hour.
Yeah, 24.
thing.
Yeah. Wow, this is cool.
That's when we got my,
We used to go to Louisville truck show every year instead of models of that.
Yeah, we did too.
Okay.
We went for years to Louisville.
Every year they had a different
wow.
semi for deal,
well, we almost tracked their house because the GPS was taking it. It's not the wrong chat,
There's another driveway that goes down into the.
Okay, yeah, we weren't sure what
One's there.
sign, so.
But it's not.
Well, there's a trophy. 2004 third place NTPA Otoma.
Main road, but for our town.
He was from right up around here, right? Kensley?
Yeah.
Didn't he have a shop up here?
Like when my kids were when I first got married, we restored this.
That's one of the second place Toma.
Oh, that is?
He's up there for
Oh, that's... Oh boy.
Yeah, that was the lap before and the crash.
Oh man.
Cousin of mine lives in Graft and his brother was down in Florida and took those pictures, believe it or not. And he knew I was an Ironheart fan and sent me a copy of the thing.
Jeez. I'll never forget that day when Mike.
Yeah,
Mike.
I cried
Yeah.
when you said it on the news.
What was that guy's name? Mike. The head of NASCAR. He came in and said we lost Earnhardt. Like. Yeah.
Buddy of mine ran a wing modified up at Plymouth and sponsored him for a couple of years.
Oh, that's cool. Did you ever go up to Slinger?
Yeah, but not so much the late models now, but
Did they run sprints up there?
no. I mean, years ago was when it was dirt, we ran modifieds in our sportsman cars and that kind of thing.
This is your company here?
That's part of them. Yeah, the Mac fleet alone And this other picture here is
Oh, wow. Okay.
got all of them on it, whatever.
Well, that's where the color of the truck came from then, obviously.
Yeah. And Alan Kowicki's
That's cool.
dad, Jerry Kowicki, was the guy that did our engines originally, the 482s. He worked for Steve Zima Engine Service, Milwaukee or West Dallas. Picture here, Dale Earnhardt autographed personally for me
Oh, wow.
at the first year NASCAR ran at the Brickyard.
Oh, yeah, I was there.
They had a GMC deal sent the dealerships or whatever, like 2 tickets or whatever for this special deal for all the GMC dealers. And that's our truck shop earlier or whatever.
So you were standing next to him when he did this?
He was sitting at the table, and we were able to take 2 things to have autographed. So I had that picture and one of the cars. He autographed the roof of one of the cars. And Bob Brunner was a salesman over at Five Corners GMC. We were good friends, and he called me up. He said, "Do you want to go to dinner tomorrow?" And or 2 days later or something, or the end of the week kind of thing. And I says, "Well, yeah, I could probably." He said, "Well, we got to leave at 8 o'clock in the morning." I says, 8 o'clock in the morning? Yeah, it's down in Indy. And I had just gotten a brand new GMC pickup from him at the time. He said, "But you're driving, you know," and I says, "That works for me." So we went down there and had dinner with, it was a big catered dinner. I think there was 200 people there probably,
That's cool.
And my wife was getting me
Don't get rid
a
of
lot of
that.
those deals for Christmas and different stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
I was trying to think of the other guy that was the MC at the thing. But
Skinner?
this was part of from the dinner thing or whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Brickyard Pen. I still have all my programs from the Brickyard. That was fun to go to.
It was a guy that was a announcer, TV announcer and stuff, but him and Dale both sat at the main table thing, we just got in line and walked through it. 2 things that you could have autographed.
That's really cool.
Here's truck shop with the puller trailer, a black trailer, van trailer in the middle there is a hauler.
And what, do you still have that business then, or you sell
You'll
it?
have the property and the building. It's a 50 by 70 steel building, and we're trying to sell it now.
Okay.
And now it was its own B3 business, but if I sell it, they're taking the business zoning away. So now we're trying to sell it as a estate. So hopefully I can find somebody that wants to put a $1 million house up on the backside of it and use the shed for his motorhome and boat and Corvettes and whatever else he's got.
Hey, there's
toys.
people that need toy
Yeah.
storage, so yeah.
Believe it or not, we got people looking for property
Oh, I'm
like
sure.
that around here.
Yep, I don't doubt it.
The
Oh,
person in the middle, yeah, could you do
Oh,
Okay.
the one in the middle?
Yeah, do your best, okay?
Okay.
right there.
No!
The troublemaker one?
Maybe this could go on the. This will be the thumbnail for the video.
Oh my God.
The troublemaker one, look at
I know.